This lineup, these lineups across the board here, is pretty much what we've been seeing for the past maybe 3-4-ish months. And these are some of the most comfort, best picks for these players on both sides.
I actually was going to say that. Like, this is so comfort. Like, did they even draft? Like, I think everyone just got exactly what they wanted. No questions asked. It feels like Onyx is, I actually don't blame it. Our analysts are a little bit split on this one. Just because it feels like it's so good for either of them. It can go either way.
Yeah, part of this is, I don't know, if you look at both and what we've seen throughout Games of the Future so far for 2025, it is a whole lot of roam impact, which has always been the case. But if you look at the teams that have had the most, and these are the teams that really is the roam pressure. Like roam, especially the Cho, for example, this is key bowler, and he's got his Cho pick. We've seen him do this in many stacking roams, right? We go ahead and those pickoffs. This is a very extended roam in comparison. For example, if we compare it to Carlos. Carlos is not your roam. He's mainly the utility who can lay down the glorious pathway. Yes, he has a stun, but essentially he's there to go ahead and provide either a quick way to follow or to disengage or to cut off the opposing team. But the way that Light plays the high a little different too. That's another thing you have to take in consideration. Again, Light being one of the most aggressive roams in professional MLB. Mid lane.
But that's speaking of aggression, right after getting the real world, they go for the fight, and Sans gets first blood. Of course, Demon Kite gonna not let that go unpunished. Gonna go ahead and get that kill. So it's a 1-for-1, and that's both of our mid laners. Actually, no, it's Kyrie falling on the other side. So that's gonna slow him down a little bit, man.
Yeah, that's tough. You die early as a jungler. You're going to have some difficulty, right? But you got to be able to catch up. YSS is pretty good at doing that, though, even if you have your late start into the transition here. So they're going to fight for this turtle. There's going to be no contest for this, as you mentioned, with Kyrie going down. So they go for that. Now, part of this, too, is, again, they forced that fight in the mid. But as soon as those level 4s were available, Aurora Gaming Philippines knew that they had basically an advantage that they could work with. And this is the thing, too. You don't see too often the aggressiveness in the gold lane from our previous teams, right? But, for example, this is Dominkite and Skylar. Skylar having a massive history of performances throughout Indonesia. Dominkite making a name for himself over the years, and this is the most classic matchup you'll see, a Harith versus a Granger. For a while, people were tired of seeing this. Maybe they still are, and that's why the gold lane has changed up so much lately, where now you can put those fighters in the gold lane, but they're essentially going to be doing the same thing. They want to go ahead and scale into it, that mid to late game. They both sort of scale around the same timing. Now, if one of them can solo kill each other, which we've seen before, whether that be the Granger or the Harith, then that gives them that little bit of an advantage to work with. But right now, it's basically a stalemate across the map. If you look at, again, the reason why this draft is, we say it's so balanced, not just because of the comfort, but because of the way that the timing plays out for these compositions. They're not going to be crazy action-packed early games like we've seen previously. They're going to mostly fight around, if they force something in the mid, before the turtle comes up, or it'll be around the turtle fight.
I actually completely agree. I feel like these are both like just so balanced. There's just a little bit of like deviation, like who spikes faster. Sometimes they can spike a little bit faster. Some heroes, especially like you're talking about the Harith and the Moskov, right? Sorry, it's Harith and the Granger on top side. It's actually really good for both of them. Sometimes if you can get a really good catch, the Harith can just burst down the Grangers, stuff like that, right? So, yeah, absolutely. It feels like both of these gold laners are actually very heavily affected by the patch, but very happy to play it. Ooh, lots of understrikes being locked in by Onyx. This might be actually a pretty good fight for them. See if that's gonna happen. Lupi, you'll get a little bit of Lantern Flare treatment there and gonna get bursted down before even casting anything. Even has the green on his ultimate right now, and that's a second turtle going over to Aurora Gaming here from the Philippines.
It's another pickup. Again, objective plus a kill that they can work with. You know, these being spread out here. Edward? He's gonna get away. Oh
man. Oh, look at that, kid boy, with the insurance policy right at the back. It's going to help you catch up if you're Kyrie.
I was going to say, that's essentially what you need to do if you're Onic, you know, and great catch there for Keyboy to be there on time. Great communication from Onic to make that play happen. And, you know, technically throughout the series that we've seen here in Rock Heart for Aurora Gaming Philippines, it's usually Edward getting, you know, having trouble in the early game where he's focused on, he might get some early deaths, but he always makes up for it. Like, that's one of the things about why he's called Mr. Consistent and all his other acronyms that he has for his names for him, because he has that potential to be able to do this. Is Loopy gonna have some trouble here? He is an Esmeralda, he's gonna get dragged.
Oh man, look at that. Loopy has more sustainability now. It's like a 1v2. Oh, off-cam kill there for Edward, by the way. They're taking a lot of pressure on the mid and taking out Light with them as well. Of course, Loopy is going to be the sacrificial lamb for that, but it feels like it's very worth, especially for Onic.
Yeah, see, Onic is starting to at least find these little wins. These little wins across the map, they're starting to go ahead and shift the momentum, which they need to do. Again, when you lose in the jungle, you lose your jungler early on, I should say. You kind of have to go ahead and cover the other lanes, the other grounds here. They might actually potentially, if they can take the third turtle once it's up, that's the best thing for Onic, because right now Aurora Gaming is, especially with getting the first tier 1 turret down, maintaining a bit of a lead. Now, this lineup, like I said, for Onic is essentially still capable of getting that numbers advantage just by playing around Keyboy. And so, hovering around this mid lane, they want to go ahead and clear it. Light's going to go ahead and go for it. Oh, okay, he actually disengages. Thought he was going to drop the Glorious Pathway down, but this fight for the third turtle, half health.
They're actually holding on to ultimates very, very well, especially here for Aurora. They're having a lot of ultimates ready for the fight. They get the turtle and they kill. Very stocked. Aurora Gaming PH, that's 1.8k gold lead for them, and they're not done yet. Nice, so I think they want to keep on going for more. Don't forget, they still have that Glorious Pathway. Decides to just play a bit more carefully after that.
It's one of the things you can do. Again, it's positioning, right? Light was in the perfect position. He was right there in that bush. Didn't even really need to do too much. It's just the presence of that Hylos again and having that revitalize you. The difficult part for Onic and their lineup is actually dealing with that. I mean, at some point, Keyboy on the Cho, whether he's able to get a pick off or not, if he gets stunned and stopped in his tracks, you know, he can get low pretty quickly, or he has to burn the flicker. Loopy as well, man. Loopy 0-3. Your Esmeralda usually is the one that's kind of, they would say, you know, Esmeralda's kind of unkillable. She's tough to deal with. But when you have this kind of crowd control offered with this lineup from Aurora Gaming, and then that follow through with the amount of damage early game that a Lancelot provides you to an extent too, in the way they Keyboy.
It's a free man knockup on the G Kundo. Actually, right close by is Sans. Gonna get lots of kills and some decent DPS despite obviously the Harif being there. They're gonna push back and we're gonna join the fight just a little bit. Loopy's actually quite low. I don't think Onic wants to go for this one, and they will not. So pretty good pickoffs happening here for Onic. But again, being traded almost instantly by Aurora that time.
It's always the difficult part about being a Cho player. You know, all the Cho players out there know what it's like. You got to go in, you couldn't do, or set up your kick, and essentially you're kind of sacrificing yourself away, right? You want to go in and get that set up for your team, but you know that it's going to be very difficult to get away, especially if you use the flicker to initiate. But nonetheless, what Onic has been able to do here, Rockhart, is stay within grounds. Like, it's not anything too crazy of a lead that Aurora Gaming has over Onic, which puts them in a position that they can actually contest this Lord if they want to. Skylar is going to go ahead and get that turret down, picks up a Sky Piercer as well. So the scaling here on both sides for the gold laners are going to start to show. Sky Piercer 2 for Yue. There's the kick.
Okay, there you go. That's where you want to get started here. Light will use the Glorious Pathway to dig out. Edward misses on the Landshaker, and actually that might force them to go back. Skylar, look at this guy. He's just going bananas. Throwing bullets left, right, and center. Taking down Edward in the process, and now they're pushing Aurora Gaming back. They seem to be the ones who are in control of this Lord Pit.
Yeah, they're going to go with that. And meanwhile, exactly when he got the Sky Piercer, he gets a kill. So they have positioning here, but I think Aurora Gaming wants to go for this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Look at Demon Kite, though. 4 throws just to buy a little bit more time, but not going to be enough. for him to go for the steal. Kyrie this time has massive control on that that Lord. And they're going to be able to get that one. Going to be great for taking down those turrets on mid and bottom. Get more golds into their pocket.
That is the quickest I feel like I've seen a Lancelot get zoned in on it and taken out. I mean, it was more so of an attempt to like just go for it for Demon Kite to see if he could potentially get in the position to try to retribution steal that away. But Onyx played that really, really well. They knew that was going to happen, and they timed it greatly. So now with this, Lord's pushing up top. Onyx will go ahead and continue to open up the map. They want to get this mid turret down. It's just a couple hits away, and Aurora Gaming are going to have to just give this one up as they prepare for the tier 2s. Keyboy giving information that Demon Kite was getting his orange. Now putting the pressure for the purple. They'll take that away. Now let's see, Aurora Gaming with their backs against that. Then they reinitiated after taking out Light, gives them that advantage. So a whole lot of resources used up. The Lord's going to charge into this top base turret. We'll see, it is going to be cleared out rather quickly though, because once again, these lineups are so balanced across the board for this game 1. And you're seeing that. So Onyx, they'll have to go ahead and decide, can we go ahead and get a base turret down? They still have these waves to deal with, but at best, they might get one base turret. RWM drop down.
Well, that's if they can actually win this team fight, which looks like they're going to be able to take out Sans. Aurora Gaming definitely going to do great with that -1, but look at Lutpi. He's diving in on the middle of that pack and doing some decent damage, pushing back Aurora Gaming. I mean, they look like they had some momentum, but again, a great pushback from that Esmeralda.
Yeah, it's actually pretty impressive, though. Aurora Gaming holding on with that push. It doesn't really matter that they're down 4,000 gold. Like, that's what I'm saying with these lineups. It's more so of a chess game when it comes to these team fights and that execution factor. You know, even with that lead that Onyx has, it's not so easy for them to actually strong arm Aurora Gaming Philippines with this. Edward does he just recently picked up a Chastised Pauldron. That item actually does really well against certain marksmen. You can see this too, even defensively. Light, he's dealt with this all game, man. But finally, you know, he's got 3 core defensive items locked in: the Dom, Ice, Anti-Cuirass, Radiant Armor here too, to kind of help with the amount of damage that's coming out from Sans. You saw it from the last fight. He's already got his Divine Glaive too. So I'm assuming he's still going to be going even more magic damage here too on this Eve. I don't know if he wants to even get any defensiveness for Sans just yet, because he hasn't really dealt with that pressure. Like, he's just kind of relying on the flicker, and he's pumping out the damage. Meanwhile, Skylar is as well. Fighting into the real world manipulation is the best thing that Onyx has right now for them, and it's allowing that space to be there. So it's a chess match, you know, and 20 seconds for this Lord to come up. Aurora Gaming, they'll most likely contest it. They will not let any of this just go by. This is a little bit more difficult, once again, for Onyx. The tankier Light gets, and Edward, it doesn't have to all just fall onto Light's hands now. Like, Edward can be the one to go ahead and kind of start these fights up like we saw him previously. And you never know, if he goes and gets in that stun and that lands this time, that might change that course of the fight. Immortality being picked up here by Keyboy too. Once again, giving a little bit of that extra time that he might need to escape after setting up the Way of the Dragon, the kick. So this positioning is super important here. Neither team's probably going to fully commit to this unless they catch someone out. A beacon used, though, from Yue. So that not being available actually is very helpful for Onyx, but the Lord evolves now at the 18-minute mark.
Yeah,
so
that's
a little
a few seconds
difficult,
that
a little difficult to take.
So you're absolutely right. Again, it's all about whether or not Aurora can actually tank the real world. And as time is progressing, they actually might be able to. But here comes that big fight we're talking about. They're diving straight into the back line, and that's going to be the jungler for Aurora Gaming removed already. And now it's a 4v5, and they are going to have to make a run for the hills if they want to survive. And they're going to be able to take out Lutfi, but looks like all that's going to be left on the field is going to be Dom and Kai. It's 1v3. It's only a Harif. What are you going to do? You got a big wave on the middle, and I think that's exactly what Onyx is just going to capitalize. No need to go for the Lord this time around. 24 seconds on the death timers at earliest. That feels like game.
Onyx winning that fight around the real world manipulation. Exactly what I was